country. Welcome to another episode of the Heavy Hockey Podcast. I'm your friendly neighborhood ex-goaltender, Bob. We got the exciting cast of characters back here, as per usual. The senior writer for Heavy Hockey, who just put out another banger on the website. I believe it was today. We'll be touching on that a little bit later. It's check it out on heavyhockey.com. It's becoming the Heavy Hockey Network website / Ryan Lotzberg's draft folder. Well, always good to see you, Ryan. And of course, we have Mr. Kevin McCurdy, who is a man amongst boys on this podcast most of the time. You get kind of the calming influence of Kevin McCurdy with a slight little sprinkle of the sky is falling. Always good to have you on here, Kevin.
Thanks, buddy.
So here we go. Edmonton Oilers lose another one. That's their third loss now, and this 5-game road trip, a tough one here against the Washington Capitals on the strength of Tom Wilson's 2 goals, Ryan Leonard's 2 goals. Darnell Nurse's best efforts with 2 goals himself, but again, we come up short. Lotzi, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's a tough one. The start wasn't good enough once again, and defensive zone coverage wasn't good enough once again. And Sam Cosentino was kind of touching on it at the end of the game there on Sportsnet. And again, we'll touch on this a little more later, but it wasn't just the defensemen that were at fault here. It's a lot of the forwards not understanding their roles or not executing their roles properly on the defensive end. But having said that, Brett Kulak -3, not good. But to give this a little spin from the other side, I thought Ryan Leonard had a great game. Like right before his first goal, made 2 defensive stops on Leon Draisaitl, and then went the other way and scored. Added another one later where he made a nice move on Bouchard, just kind of pushed him out of the way on that one-on-one and scored on the partial break. So I was impressed with Ryan Leonard, but not impressed with my Oilers defensively. So that's what I got there.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the common theme this year. So we haven't strayed much from the formula that we showed in grade 1 when it comes to our defensive awareness or lack thereof. Kev, what did you see in this game here against Washington?
I saw a lot of things. I saw some promising results for some breakouts in some other areas that they've been challenged up until now, I guess, or at least the past several games have been a challenge. I saw some really good in-zone movement. But man, oh man, does this team need a save, and does it need to stop getting roasted on crappy pinches? It's happening multiple times a game, leading to multiple high danger chances against. And then we got a goaltender who drops -2.5 goals saved below expected on the night. Everything goes in the back of the net, and it goes in the L column where it belongs, I guess. It's really frustrating to watch. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Every time they take a step forward, they seem to take at least a step back, and sometimes 2 steps back, and just nothing happening right now.
Well, it's interesting. Like, this is very much a flies to the light bulb mentality. I mean, we're not making any progress here. I mean, we keep going back to the same light and banging our head against it. Time and time again, we've shown this is not a strategy that's working. We are now, like, what is this, 22 games? 22 games in the season, and we have yet to break free from the strategy with some odd flash of brilliance here and there. Is this a coaching issue? Is this a player not buying into issue? Like, why are we doing the same thing, working on a formula that is not working for us after 20 plus games? Yep.
Is gestures broadly the right answer here? I don't think there's a fair. It's everywhere. It's honestly everywhere. The forwards can't put together enough offense. They made a valiant try tonight. There's no shame in admitting that they definitely worked on putting the puck in the net, and they scored some really nice goals tonight. Some help from the depth, but defensively, this reminds me a lot of the 2-9-1 Oilers from 2 seasons ago when they were trying to figure out the new box+1 system and failing miserably and just getting murdered in rush chances against. And that's what keeps happening here. They either get stuck for extended zone time and they get murdered, or they overpinch on a defensive play, and then it ends up when it's the 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 3-on-2. Pick your poison, but absent some exceptional defensive plays to recover, seems to more often than not end in the back of the net.
We are on like a tough road trip, one of the toughest ones in franchise history. So if we're going to have these struggles right now against some quality teams on the road, is this the time to have them? Is this the time to try to figure this out where we're not laying stinkers like shades of what we did against Colorado at home? We're not playing that way here as we're trying to figure it out. Lossies, there's something to be said here in regards to figuring it out on the road here so that we're ready for a homestand that should be coming up here shortly.
Hey, as far as this road trip is concerned, from my perspective, it's just get through this. Right? Just get through this in a spot where you can still have the playoffs within reach. Right? Don't fall so far down the standings that you can't climb out of the hole. And I think there's so much parity in the league right now, and things are so tight with all the overtime games, and no one's really emerging. Like the middle cluster is so tightly packed that I think we're going to be okay, regardless of what happens in the next two games. But they got to survive this, and they need to get home quickly and get some time on the ice to practice and figure some stuff out, because it's just not happening for them right now.
Well, there's another example here tonight, a matchup of two different teams where Washington is one of the best teams when it comes to 5-on-5 scoring. Thankfully, their special teams are pretty tanked right now, but 5-on-5 they are as dangerous as can be. And they are up against, I believe, as of today, the worst 5-on-5 team in the NHL, the Edmonton Oilers. This is a good time, Lotzi, to change the schedule up a little bit, but that's just a natural segue, I think, in regards to your article in the Heavy Hockey Network, where you kind of explore your theories here on the Oilers' 5v5 issues. You want to give us a bit of a rundown here, a summary of what you kind of researched up there and put on a platter for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So this week on Heavy Hockey, I guess I could say today on Heavy Hockey, because this one came out today. Why are the Oilers struggling so much at 5-on-5? And I wrote that it's more of a player issue than a coaching issue, in my opinion, because there's so much turnover on the forward roster. And when I say it's on the players, I'm putting this on the forwards more than anybody else. Because if we're talking, this is more in response to Jonathan Willis's article that came out last night, which he put out on his Substack. He referenced some numbers for the Oilers 5-on-5, talking about the lack of rush chances that we've generated, which I think is a totally fair observation that meshes with what I've seen as well. We've struggled at that, whereas that's something we used to be good at. And the other part of it was the amount of point shots that are being taken by the defensemen. And he says it's a coaching issue, and he didn't necessarily go deep into why he thinks that is, and I wanted to challenge that. So I said this is more of a player's issue, and I dove in and I tried to assess and figure it out. So what's changed this year, right? Assistant coaches is one. We got Paul McFarland on staff, and there's a presentation of him talking in 2022 about the importance of rush chances. It's literally called The Importance of Rush Chances. About how 68% of rush chances, 68% of goals that came off the rush in the first round of the 2022 playoffs came off of defensive zone exits or quick hit transitions. So rushes really come off of turnovers in the defensive zone and getting the puck up ice quickly. And same in the neutral zone. Turn the puck over, get attacking the other way really quickly. So the Oilers aren't generating enough turnovers in their own end and in the neutral zone. And when they do get those turnovers, they're not able to attack quickly enough. And that's a lot of that has to do. I mean, there's a lot of things happening there, but in the defensive end, I pointed out a goal from the Buffalo game where it was Ostlund's second goal. Wallman didn't get the puck in the corner, but Podkolzin was taken up off the ice after the draw, thinking that Wallman was going to get it. So he's out of the play. Roslovic and Lazar had no idea who they needed to cover, and that left that space in the faceoff circle wide open. Nurse was tied up with his man in front of the net. He was doing his job. So it wasn't on him. So I was like, yeah, put a little blame on Wallman there if you want, but the forwards had no idea what they were doing, and they got exposed. And it's a goal in the back of the net. And Sam Cosentino was talking about it again tonight on Sportsnet after this game. The forwards not knowing what they're supposed to do in the defensive zone, or they're not executing. It's one of the two, right? So I think the forwards not executing in the D zone is a big part of it. And then you want to talk about the number of shots from the D men, the point. NHL Sid was referenced by Willis, and he put out a piece where he said, I think it was 38% of shots are coming from the defenseman, which is the highest such ratio in the league. Well, the thing of it is, it's a ratio, right? So the way he presented the numbers makes it sound like the D are shooting more, but in reality, Brett Kulak's the only one that's shooting more on a shots per 60 basis than he was last year. Adam Henrique is the only forward that's shooting more than he was last year. Everyone else is shooting way less. Leon's shots are almost cut in half. It's shots per 60. It's like 7.3 down to like 4.6 or something. I might have the numbers mixed up, but Leon's almost cut his shot rate in half. Is that coaching? Like, are the coaches telling Leon to shoot less? Are they telling the forwards not to shoot? I don't think so. I have a real hard time buying it. And it's not like we're seeing more shots from the defenseman. It's the same amount or less from the defenseman. And I don't think that's what is being coached. I really have a real hard time believing that's what's being coached. So go check out the article on heavyhockey.com, and I'll let you guys have a chance to respond to that here.
Kev, your thoughts? 5-on-5 issues, Lotsy's article here, some of the numbers he's throwing out. What do you think?
I think the middle ground is somewhere in the middle, unsurprisingly. My dad was sort of a middle ground person, and I will be on this one too. I think that realistically, it's a bit of both. I think this team is terrified of their goaltending. I really do. I think the team is so afraid of giving up rush chances against that they've been taught to bring it back and execute point shots into traffic. The problem is the traffic A isn't being generated, and B, the shots are genuinely lower percentage from the point than they would be from something in close. With that said, I agree with Lotsy to an extent that there is it is also a player issue, and I think there's an abnormal number of guys just struggling to get it done right now. Like on the defense, Brett Kulak is absolutely underwater. I love that guy to death. He was a monster through a whole bunch of playoff series, but this year, the start of this season, I don't know if it's because of his contract renewal that's pending or what the story is or what's been communicated to him by the team, but he is struggling in a big way right now. Nurse had 2 goals tonight. Full kudos to that for putting a couple pucks in the net, increasing that shooting percentage a little bit because it was also lagging. But there are multiple players on this roster, Jake Wallman, even Bouchard on the second empty net goal. Like, there are major mistakes happening in the defensive side of this puck of the game every single shift, it seems like. And unless they find a way to get control of that, this is just going to be the norm for this year. And the sample size is now 22 games. Like, I am concerned about the trajectory of this team. And I think we all had doubts when they had their losing streak last year or the one year before. But the underlying numbers are pretty ugly. And expected goals was in the toilet too. Like, when Woodcroft got fired, they were running 57% expected goals for and like 43% actual goals. It was going to regress. It was a matter of time. And they regressed on the game before Woodcroft got fired. But this year, it's like in the high 40s for both, and that's not really an encouraging sign. With that said, they made some progress tonight. I've seen more offensive effort out of them tonight than we've seen for a minute. I was overall fairly happy with the game that they played, but this team needs a save. and they need a defenseman to not make a critical mistake that leads to odd man rushes out of desperation. It's not working.
Everybody's got to play better. Everybody has a stake in it, and I was sure to say that in the article too. It's not just one thing, and Knobloch has a share of the blame. I do just want to hit on this comment from Dog 476. He's saying that what's wrong is definitely coaching. How a coach comes in after back-to-back cup finals and thinks to just change our system is a fireable offense. That part there, I don't know that he's really changed the system at all. I really don't. I think it's the execution that's totally different. Like Knobloch was the coach last year when we had all the rush chances. I think it was 52 rush chances through 21 games at the point of the season before tonight, right? Whereas this year we have 9. Like, why would somebody change the system that much after going to back-to-back cup finals? Right? It doesn't make sense for that to happen. I don't think that's what we're seeing. And so I'm not in the room. I don't have access to the whiteboard. So I really don't know what Knobloch has drawn up. But what I do know is that ever since the Dave Tippett era, they've had one forward fly the zone. One forward. Now, this year I've seen it happen where there's 2 forwards flying the zone quite often. I chalk that up to player execution rather than coaching, because I don't know what breakout that is. I've never seen that consistently done by any other team before. I don't understand the strategic advantage to doing so. It's like I really don't think it's what the system is. I just think it's the players getting confused and just not knowing who should be the one going, who should be the one staying.
So if he hasn't changed the system, and then but whatever we're playing isn't working, should he be changing the system?
I actually have a comment that I want to shove in the side door here, and that is I think there are differences that people are only beginning to account for. Number one, Glenn Gulutzan is now the head coach of the Dallas Stars. He was responsible for the offense of this team for years. Paul Coffey is now up in the president's office again. And he, even though he allegedly butted heads with other members of the coaching staff, it's pretty clear he got results out of the defense. He expected more, and he had a standard that apparently has slipped quite a bit in the offseason. So those 2 departures alone have made a significant difference to how this team executes. There is a lack of puck support. One more thing, sorry. There's a lack of puck support to the previous point when they're flying the zone, right? Like they are leaving the zone with multiple guys without supporting their defensemen, not giving their defensemen true breakout passes, and their breakouts are awful. And again, tonight was the first time I've seen any progress on that in some time. But I guess sort of what I'm getting at is the final point that I'm not sure that what we're doing coaching-wise holistically as a whole right now is working with the offense and defense being coached by separate camps. I think there's a disconnect there, and I think that it's really apparent in how this team is playing that it's just not quite clicking between the front and the back. Sorry, Lotzi, all yours.
Yeah, it's all good. My question is, Glenn Gulutzan was responsible for running the power play, and like that, I don't think that's debatable. What I don't know for certain is if he was running the offense of this team.
That's fair.
And that's what I'm saying about Paul McFarland as well. He was hired to run the power play. I don't know that he's in charge of anything to do with 5-on-5.
Well, and that's entirely fair. I'm not completely certain on the internal structure of the organization. It seems like there are 2 discrete camps, and they're not really talking to each other. Is kind of how it comes across. I may be wrong about that, but that's just the perception that I'm getting as an outsider.
And I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, they got to get on the same page because defense flows into offense, right? And as we're seeing, sometimes there's turnover at the offensive blue line, offense flows into defense. It's like everything needs to be connected. Coaches got to be on the same page, right? Again, we're not in the coaches' room. I can't say whether they are or they aren't. But what I do know is that Knobloch hired McFarland this summer, and McFarland gave a wonderful presentation about the importance of rush offense. So I think they're aligned on that particular aspect of the game.
Well, what a thrill to have Patrick, the oil fanatic, jump on board here finally. I don't know if you found the back door to get onto the podcast or what, since we had you barred from the main entrance. But good to see you, Patrick. I mean, seriously, if you guys have seen if anybody has seen a better looking podcast crew, I'd be surprised. Unless, of course, if you are visually impaired, then that goes in your favor. But Patrick, we were just talking about the struggles of the 5v5. I don't know if you had a chance to read Lotzie's article or if you've been listening to the podcast so far. But just to touch on what you've been kind of seeing 5v5, what are the other struggles?
All of it.
Well, we already got that from Kev. Just everything.
Yeah, I haven't been able to listen, so I just got in here. But yeah, I'm sure I don't have anything new that you guys have already covered here. I mean, obviously, the struggles just continue once again tonight. It's an absolute gong show. Yeah, I don't know. I probably don't have anything new to cover. You can probably just move on to the next topic there. But yeah, completely.
Well, we were talking a little bit too, like Kevin was talking about puck support. We're talking a little bit the disconnect between the forwards and defense. How much do you guys? I'll start with you, Kev. How much do you think a lot of that has to do with on ice communication? Do we have a disconnect in communication that's happening on the ice as well as off the ice?
I don't know. I actually don't really want to speculate too much. Like, I have no idea what the atmosphere of that room is, but if it's anything but sober right now, I would be highly surprised. Or maybe it shouldn't be. I don't know. But these guys have been through, at least a good chunk of them have been through a lot of shit together over the past, upwards of 3 or more years. And yeah, there's a lot of new faces, but it's time to either get in the room and just beat the crap out of each other, or go drinking, or do something and just figure it out. Like, this team is better than this. There is enough talent here that this team should not be struggling to produce points. They should not be struggling to produce wins in the middle of November. Take the reins. Let's get it done. Like, it's on the management too. They gotta figure out a way to spark some change here. It's really that simple. Like, even if it's as simple as making a small goaltending change. It doesn't have to be go out and get UC Saros or Ilya Sorokin. It doesn't have to be one of those things. You can make a small change, somehow find a way to do it, be creative, find somebody somewhere. Any sort of shuffling of the deck is kind of what it seems like this team needs right now. That's just my take on it.
You alluded to it earlier off air there, where you're at the point now where you just like to see a change for the sake of change.
Yeah, and I think the team would too. I would like to see a change for the sake of change. Number one, because it will assuage a large number of the fan base. I don't envy whoever has to come into that position because it's literally getting dropped into a deep fryer. I talked about this on Low Tide earlier, but it's really, this is a tough market to play in. We have gone through goalies like underwear here, and a lot of that is a combination of media and fan base criticism that gets to these guys after a while. But it is also, in fairness to the fan base, kind of getting ridiculous that we're in this situation in year 11 of McDavid, that we still haven't, since Cam Talbot had a starting level goaltender. And that's, all of these guys have been able to, in theory, be the starter at some point, but they just can't do it consistently. And the consistency is killing this team. That's just one of the problems. We can count the problems on two hands right now.
Well, I'd argue that we haven't had a consistent number one goalie further back Tommy Salo. Like Talbot maybe had 2 good years and kind of started fading away. It's very well known, especially on Twitter land, that I'm a huge Stu Skinner supporter. But he's had the opportunity. He's been given the opportunity. And if anything, this year is a year where he has so much to prove, and it's a contract year where you think he'd step up his game, especially fighting for a spot for Team Canada as well. And if anything, he's taken a step backwards. I still think he's capable, but I also think that the wick on that candle is just too small at this point. And if he hasn't taken the reins by now, you really can't wait too much longer. Going back a little bit, you were saying, Lottie, in regards to like shots being generated and what have you. Is this maybe a sign of the game evolving a bit? Because I saw a little tidbit on Sportsnet there too, where saying shots per game have gone down in general. People seem to be looking for the like the perfect shot as opposed to like just dumping the pucks on net and banging around for rebounds. Do you kind of see the game evolving a bit, maybe, or just as kind of a 20-game sample where it's just a hitch in the road?
I think overall the game is evolving to more puck possession and skill, and it has been for a number of years now. But I think we're looking at a 20-game sample size here, just at the start of the season. But from the Oilers' standpoint specifically, like the one argument there is in favor of D-men shooting more from the point is the Hockey Viz graphic, where it shows the heat map of where shots are coming from. There are a little bit more from the point this year than there have been the last couple, and it hasn't looked quite like that since the Dave Tippett era. But in all honesty, I really think it's because the forwards are struggling to shoot or to generate scoring chances. And if they're not shooting, someone's got to shoot, right? It's like, what do you tell your players when the team's not scoring or generating scoring chances? Get pucks on net, go to the net, and something good will happen. Tonight, we saw it a few times, not only from Nurse's 2 goals, but we saw it on the first 3 from Washington, right? They're low percentage shots, yes, but you get a bounce, you get a greasy goal, things happen like that. Is that a system that I would go to? Absolutely not. But is it a quick message I would tell my team if they're struggling to generate anything? Yeah, it absolutely is. So I think it's more a byproduct of this forward group just not being up to the standard that we've seen for the last couple of years here than it is a coaching decision or a system change.
And unfortunately, these low percentage shots are turning into expected goals for all of a sudden in our net. It's kind of odd and mind-boggling to overall. Big picture is that we have 2 of the best offensive players in the game, and we're not generating anything off the rush. And that's should be these guys' specialty. And it's just frustrating to watch night in, night out. Patrick, here you do the rundown? You got it all queued up?
Sure, let's do it.
Run the rundown.
Right.
Well, the Oilers suck. That basically covers it. No, it's been a struggle, guys. We got some news on Nugent Hopkins and Kasperi Kapanen. Apparently, the earliest Jason Greger was reporting on Nuge was November 29th. I believe they're playing Seattle that night as a possible return date for Nuge, but also heard Stan Bowman mention some point in December. So as we know with Oilers return dates from injury, they always seem to get pushed or be underestimated in some form or fashion. So I don't know when exactly we'll see those guys back, but probably the safer bet would be sometime in December. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have gotten into it already a bit, but there's been a lot of talk about Chris Knobloch's job. Maybe there's going to be a change with the assistant coaches. We'll see what happens here, but another big loss tonight. And this is a team that needed to win some way, somehow, and to lose another one tonight just kind of adds to the misery here down in Bakersfield. Ike Howard's already taken off a bit. Connor Clattenburg's really standing out. Connor Ingram had a game the other night. So seeing some great signs from the Condors as of late, and it's great to see Ike go down there and have some immediate success because that's something we wanted to see from him with getting more playing time with Bakersfield. So that might turn into a recall at some point here. Obviously, I'm not expecting anything right away, but if he keeps that kind of play up, this team has been struggling for offense. When you get 4 goals tonight against Logan Thompson, that's got to be enough for a win. And the Oilers, I'm sure, are looking at the goaltending market. I think there was a quote from Bob Stauffer tonight that things are starting to heat up on conversations and stuff like that. I imagine they are, both for coaches and for possible trades, but we know how tight the Oilers cap situation is. So we'll see what happens here, guys. But yeah, for right now, that's basically the latest. Nuge and Kapanen in December, and talks heating up, both with coaching staff and possible trades, but they will be difficult to pull off.
Well-
Don't forget about Lane Hudson and
Yes,
not
yeah, Lane Hudson as well,
sorry,
yes.
Quinn
Yeah.
Quinn Hudson.
Quinn Hudson, yeah.
The other one.
other
He's
one.
been
The other Hudson,
lighting
right.
it up down in the AHL.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, sorry,
That's
there
a
were
good-
several Condors.
yeah. They're turning on Szymanski too. Like those guys are all playing really well from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not surprised about talks heating up. Even a little bit. I actually honestly, let's throw this in here. I halfways would not be surprised to see Elvis Merlikins get relocated. It's pretty clear that he is on the outs with the coaching staff in Columbus. He has not played in a number of games. Jet Greaves has taken over the net there, and it is clear from some things that have been communicated that there is a difference of opinion between team and player about his future. So we'll see how that shapes up. Maybe there's an opportunity for everybody to get a fresh start.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the Oilers goalie scout Jeff Saleko in Columbus multiple times. I remember there was talk from Bob Stauffer last year that Merzlikins is a goaltender that's highly respected in the Oilers dressing room. I can't remember if that was last year or the year before they were talking about that, but he's a name that's come out lots, so I would not be surprised if there is some kind of connection there.
And the other thing too, I think this team misses Corey Perry, right? And they miss Connor Brown, and they miss that fighter attitude that could command the crowd, I guess, in the Klim Costins, whatever. Elvis Merlikins is that in goaltending form, right? He's got ego for days, and I think that that's something that this team could use a little bit more flair from, right? Like, love him or hate him, lots of people liked Mike Smith, and he had his fair share of mistakes, but he was spicy and he wasn't afraid to, get upset with people or, let his feelings be known without much BS. And I think that is just, if Elvis is at all the same way, I think the team could actually use a shot of that, and maybe that does make a lot of sense. He is a streaky goalie, just like every goalie in the league right now, but I do wonder if that's where the team goes to try and make a change. I just don't know how they're going to take care of it from a cap perspective.
Yeah.
Well, the timing of that is pretty good because I mentioned before we got on the air here that every year, besides the Oilers, who I obviously follow religiously, I pick a second team to follow, tightly, just to watch them throughout the season and follow them almost as closely as I follow the Oilers, just for something different as well, different viewpoints. And last season it was Columbus. I watched Columbus a lot. So I got to know Elvis Merzlikins pretty good as a goaltender. And he does have flashes of absolute brilliance. And he definitely has game-stealing capability. Some of his decision-making sometimes is mind-boggling. But I'll tell you one thing we will never question again in our Oiler net is agility. Because this Elvis, he's got agility. His side-to-side movement is as good as anybody in the league. And I know that's one of our biggest complaints about our starter right now. So I think Lottie would know better than me for sure, or any of us really, is there would have to be a lot of salary retention going on for a trade of some sort to make room for Elvis or anybody that's an actual name out there for a goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, we have $212,000 and or $212,500 in cap space right now. We have to shed it's $1,086,666 to activate Kapanen and Nuge, whoever comes first. But to get Kapanen off LTIR, that's what has to happen. So we've got to shed that, and then you want to add a new player to that. You got to shed that amount too. So it's complicated. And there's been chatter about another goaltender recently from another team that we played on Monday. And I think now is a good time to bring in a couple of guests that we have waiting in the lobby here for our next segment, which is Game Stories.
Excellent. Dark as night. They never look better. Oh, there they are. Never mind. Jeff Aid and Dash in the Park. Welcome to the show, fellas. Good to have you. We're about to hit the game story section where Jeff here will play a very prevalent role here shortly. But just briefly here, we'll do a little rundown of what happened here since the last podcast for games. Obviously, the Oilers are in the middle of their road trip after a 1-1 start with a win against Philly and a loss against Columbus. We won in overtime 4-3 against Carolina, and then came the infamous Buffalo game where we got shellacked, I guess, by your Sabres a bit there, Jeff, in a 5-1 loss. And we're now sitting at 3 losses on this after 5 games on this road trip for the Oilers. Jeff, first off, quick backstory. I've been dying to know. You probably told us a million times, but I need to know how you became a Buffalo Sabres fan.
Yeah, first of all, guys, thanks for having me on. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
The Buffalo thing started when I was a kid. Long story short, I have a bunch of family out in Buffalo, and my uncle and aunt and my cousins, they've been sending me Sabres stuff since I was a kid in elementary school, and back then they had Dominic Hasek and Michael Pekka and a pretty good team back then. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 1999. So I still have memories of that. And, I have Sabre jerseys that I had as a kid that I've passed down to my kids now. And it's just kind of like a lifelong thing. And yeah, long story short, just I got a bunch of family out there, and I haven't missed a Sabres game in Edmonton in like 20 years. So.
And they're coming up again here right away on the 9th, I believe.
Yeah, December 9th, they'll be in town. And, the big rematch,
It's a rivalry.
Well,
now.
briefly, lots of you alluded to it. There was another goalie in the mix we're talking about, and I'm assuming you're talking about maybe the Carolina game.
Yeah, the Carolina game from last Saturday, not the Sabres at all. And we have Jeff Aid here, who recently wrote an article for us about a potential goalie swap with the Oilers. So, Jeff, why don't you take us through your thought process in your piece, and what would you recommend from the Sabres menu for Oilers goaltending options?
See, the Sabres, they're currently running 3 goalies, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a fan of the 3 goalie system at all. And just with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Alex Lyon and even rookie Colton Ellis, they got a 3 goalie system, and something's got to give. And I feel like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen might be the odd one out, but with his salary at 4.75 for the next 3 years, I believe it is, that's going to be tough to deal. So, and you look at the Oilers situation, I truly feel like there's something there because Sabres have 3 goalies, as I mentioned, but how are you going to make the cap work? And I also wonder about I call it the goaltending musical chairs, because if the Sabres want to ship off Luukkonen, they're not going to want to take another goalie back. And the Oilers are going to want to ship a goalie out in the process. So I think if a trade happens, it might have to involve a third team and maybe a 3-way deal.
Solve it all. Give us Alex Lyon.
I do like watching Luukkonen. He's got that style that I enjoy watching. Right now, obviously, with the Sabres team, along with his team, he struggles with some consistency issues. But as Kevin alluded to, it seems like the majority of the mid-tier goalies are having that issue as well. If you, as a Sabre guy, which guy do you hope they keep the most when it comes to that goaltending trio?
It's tough, as you know, Bob, the goalie. Just goaltenders are voodoo, as they say, right? So it's, I would hope they keep Alex Lyon just because he's showing good signs and everything like that, and he's on a cheap contract for $1.5 million, and he's contracted for next year as well. And Colton Ellis, he's only played 5 games, but as you guys saw in the Oilers game, Colton Ellis, he's showing signs that he could be somebody to hold on to. So I do feel like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen might be the odd one out, and I have nothing against him, but I just feel like it's just kind of time for a change for just both parties, the organization and the goalie himself. You know, I'm sure Luukkonen would like a taste of another organization and just kind of a breath of fresh air to start fresh elsewhere.
You don't want none of us.
I've been a part of
Great fresh air right now.
See, the thing with that though, like 14 straight years of the playoffs, anything has got to be better, right?
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. My heart aches every time I see a Sabres jersey. Like, you poor guys. But we had our decade of darkness. But you're working on 2 decades here shortly. You can turn things around.
How did Levi drop down the depth chart so fast?
I was just gonna ask, and we got a question
how about
question in the comments from Garrett about what about Levi? So let's talk about Levi. I was coaches calling him out recently.
In
Bit of a
my
rough stretch.
in my personal opinion, I just think they're slow playing the hell out of him. He's still waiver exempt, so you can send him up and down. And I feel like they're just going to send him down in the minors this year and just let him play it out and get as many games as he can. And as you guys saw that interview with his coach just last week, it's not looking good. He definitely got called out, but I like that the coach did that. You know, hold your goalie accountable, and I think more coaches should kind of do that kind of thing. So as for Levi, I'm
You
serious.
think?
You know,
Yeah, you think?
as for Levi,
Might be
I
accountability problem with the Oilers. Maybe. I don't know.
I still feel he's young, and I think that's going to be a bridge the Sabres are going to have to face in the offseason, because next year Levi has to go through waivers, and I think there's a 100% chance Levi would get claimed. So the Sabres are going to run into a big problem next year too, especially with Luukkonen, because next year they're going to have Luukkonen, Alex Lyon, Colton Ellis, and the Devin Levi all.
Damn, I wish that was a problem that we had.
Right?
Well, exactly, like too many goalies, right? So that's why I think
Jeez.
the possibility is there to be a trade partner with the Oilers, but just to make the cap work and the goalie musical chairs, I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, we faced 2 teams on this road trip that have a 3 goalie issue. Like, we had Carolina the game before Buffalo, and I've been a part of a 3 goalie cycle in senior hockey at one point. And not only does it suck for playing time as for game time, it sucks during practices. You don't get your full value of shots. You're alternating your nets here and there. 2 of you facing shots. One of you standing by the boards just drinking water, just kind of waiting for a guy to motion to say he's done. I think there could be some leeway in both these teams. I mean, Carolina's got Kochetkov, Anderson, and Brandon Busey, who's showing some good signs. Kevin, for the sake of making a trade, these are 2 players. What do you figure?
Okay, there are options. Now, I'm sure that Stan Bowman knows a hell of a lot more about what the market's actually like than I do right now. I cannot imagine that prices are anything short of eye-watering for goalies, especially for the Oilers, because other teams, they can say what they want in the media, but other teams are not stupid. They know that this team is leaking goals and fairly badly, and nobody is going to rush to help unless we pay the king's ransom for it. I am disappointed that we did not pick up one of DiPietro or Dawes off of waivers last month. I'm also disappointed that Colton made it through waivers on October 6th. And, to be fair, Buffalo would have been ahead of us in the pick order. It wouldn't have mattered. But just on principle, there were 3 decent goalies that have passed through waivers in the past 2 months. And the decision was made to not get them. Is Buffalo a good trade partner for us? I say, kind of absolutely. Anybody with a goalie that is going to change the equation. Like I said, it may not necessarily be better. This isn't about necessarily making, guaranteeing that we're going to get some all-star goalie. It's just about changing the math, giving the team a fresh look and a coat of paint, and letting them go in with an unknown rather than what they feel is a known, which is that they're not really supported at the goal line right now.
Well, the other thing to consider too is the fact that whatever trade we make now for a goalie, we're going to lose that trade because the Oilers are not trading from a position of power. Like you said, everybody knows that that's a red flag for us right now, and so the asking price, for us to go get a Scott Wedgwood like Colorado did is totally different than what another team will do. Will get for an asking price.
Scott
Dash, your
Wedgwood would
thoughts
be
there.
coming into a completely different system, into a completely different defense pair. That's like doesn't matter. People that say that don't get it. Like goalies are so systematic. Whether it's Wedgwood, whether it's any of the above, they're going to come to Edmonton. The defense are still not going to communicate. The forwards are still not going to score enough goals, and the goalie's still going to suffer. It doesn't matter. That's just our team.
But you get a save, Dash. You get one good save when you need a save, and the team plays different. It's just how it's been with this team, right? Like, they get one big, huge momentum-shifting save when they need it the most because they fucked up for the 378th time.
Yeah. In the first period.
In the first.
When I said it last week, I just think that our goaltending doesn't match our style of play, right? Like when we're susceptible to these big, high danger scoring chances and cross crease passes, and that's where the goaltending weakness is going side to side, and we don't pick up our guys, and we don't pick up our rebounds, and we don't know where we are when we're trying to find a defensive assignment. Well, that doesn't help Skinner. That doesn't, like, Skinner's strengths aren't in that situation. To Kevin's point, really, you have a guy that stands on his head for a couple of those, and you're right, a team can rally.
You get the next goalie the Oilers should be targeting is somebody who's primary, like their best ability is rush chances against. I know it's a unicorn. I know that's not likely to happen, but this team, when they leak rush chances against, they get crucified. And if they can find somebody that can buy them a save in that situation, then we, theoretically go back to the high octane, pour it on, beat them 7-5 hockey that the Oilers are known for, right? Like, this team is capable of that, even with the vastly changed offense. But they need to make a stop somewhere, whether it's defensively, whether it's at the goal line, doesn't matter. Something needs to change.
This sounds like the end of the game Monday as well. So, I mean, while we got Jeff here, we should talk about Monday's game against the Sabres.
Absolutely.
Another runaway win for an Oilers opponent. But Jeff, let's get your thoughts on Monday's game.
First of all, I'll just say I'm just shocked. Okay, I didn't know the Sabres were going to do something like that, but I will say I think it was a mixture of just maybe the Oilers took them a little lightly, and at the same time, the Sabres just kind of had something to prove. It just always seems like the Sabres have their number in a weird way. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, McDavid doesn't produce in Buffalo, and I don't know what it is. So the Sabres handled them nicely, and it gave me some good confidence in that game, but I'm not going to get overboard. Trust me. Like, it's the Buffalo Sabres. And tonight they lost 6-2 to Calgary. So it's just, they go right back down, 6-2 to Calgary is an ugly game. But as for Monday night, no, you guys seen good flashes of Taves Thompson. And I think Tyson Kozak, who was a rookie, did a good job shutting down Connor McDavid in that matchup. And no, just overall, I just think the Sabres took advantage of the Oilers just not showing up, and you can't play down to the Sabres level.
So not if, but when Alex Tuch comes to Edmonton, Jeff Aid, play Kevin Adams, the GM, and tell us what that one looks like.
Oh God, I don't know what the Oilers would offer up because because Savoy's not going back to Buffalo. Isaac Howard's
that'd be
not.
funny.
Oh my God!
I just don't see that happening. Sorry. And Howard, I don't think Howard's going anywhere. So I wonder what the Oilers could offer up. You know what I mean? Probably a first round pick, but what else second, but what else on top of that, right?
The next thing that they have to spend hurts. That's what people don't understand. Like, you're talking about names. No, but that you're talking about names that you don't want to be talking about at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're asking,
like Nuge is going back or something, like it's.
I wasn't gonna say it, but that, like, guys, this is not a good situation that we're in right now.
But the thing is, though, I feel like a lot of the players have no movement clause or no trade clause, so it just kind of gets things to be more trickier to pull off, right?
Or that third team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But even that salary retention is weird now, right? Like, you can't do the same cap tricks that we used to do.
Yeah, you can't do a three-way trade to get double retention anymore. You can't do a Trent Frederick deal.
So with a young team like the Sabres, Jeff, you know you're going to have your up and downs. You're in for a roller coaster ride. But I mean, obviously, it was the young guys that stole the show against the Oilers. Like you had Ostlund scoring 2 goals, like you said, with the rookie shutting down McDavid, and the fact that Lenny Ruff kept throwing him out there on purpose against Draisaitl and McDavid, and then Colton Ellis stealing the show. And that, as an Oiler fan, that made it even more frustrating that we could not expose these youngsters and take that to our advantage and just do what Calgary did to you guys tonight.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I forgot to mention Noah Ostlund. He got 2 goals that night, and he's a rookie that they that's a first-round pick they got in the Eichel trade. So it's nice to see that first-round pick from Vegas kind of finally producing at the NHL level, So it's nice to see the rookies pull off, especially Colton Ellis, right? And it's funny because that was his 4th NHL game, and you see the comments all day long from Oilers fans like, "Oh, great, here comes a rookie goalie." Like Oilers always have bad luck against the rookie goalies, right? So I don't know what it is. And as for the Sabres young team, they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now, and I hate to use that excuse, but it is really piling up at them right now. So if they had a full roster, things might be different, but they still got a young team. And even from the start of the season, I knew it was going to be still like a growing year. I even if everything falls into place the correct way, I don't see them as a playoff team. I just don't think they're there yet. They're still too young, still too inexperienced.
How many more years?
Oh gosh. I would hope for next year, but I was saying that same thing last year, right? So it's tough to call with this type of thing. And I feel like they've got to be proactive in ways, and they've got to make some kind of splash, with the goalie log jam there. Something's going to happen, whether it's next month or 3 months from now. Like they've got to make a deal of some kind involving a goalie. And I feel like hopefully they can make some kind of splash in the process where it can alter the roster. Then hopefully they can take it another level next year. But I'm not holding my breath on this year. I think it's going to be 15 straight years after this year. And yeah, it's dark. I don't know what else to say, guys.
Well,
Does
they're
Kevin Adams get fired?
Sorry,
You think, Jeff? You think Kevin Adams gets fired after this year?
I think so. Yeah, because they brought in Jarmo Kalkalainen. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Well done.
Yeah. And he's working in the front office there, and I feel like that's kind of like a short leash for Kevin Adams. So I think with Jarmo in the front office, I think he's going to be next in line, and I think this could be Adams' last season. Yeah, that's my guess.
So where did this Kozak kid come from? I thought they said on the broadcast he's a 7th-round pick. Like, impressive that he's made the show and he got that assignment in that game. So tell us a little bit about that kid.
I wish I knew more about him. All I can say is really he's a Western League kid from Manitoba, and just through the minor league stuff through Rochester, he's just a good grinding player. Like, you drafted the 7th round, a lot of times, like, you got to grind it out, and he's been grinding it out in the Rochester, the minor leagues, and it's great to see him come up to the NHL now and finally pay it off. And it's great to have those young players in the 4th line role as well too, because they got all the pieces now, and hopefully he can stick around and grow with the team too.
And what do you think I got for you? Sorry, Bob. I was going to ask you about Owen Power, because first overall pick. I don't hear a lot about him. I don't think he's taken that step to stardom quite yet. I don't know if he will. But what are your thoughts on his play and his development?
Yeah, I was just tweeting about that today, actually, because I was saying that during the Sabres playoff drought, they got 2 first overall picks, and both of them happen to be defensemen. So it's tough with Owen Power because, defensemen take longer to develop, and that is true. But I feel like Power has been underwhelming so far. He signed that 8-year extension worth $8.35 million, and I hate to say it, but when you're earning those big bucks, expectations do rise, and Power has not been living up to the expectations. So it's been a struggle so far, but we could just hope that he's still young and going to grow. But it's running out. I don't want to say running out because he's still young, but it's time where you want to start seeing things. You know what I mean? He's making the big bucks now, and he's getting the minutes, and it's just still you want to see him take the next step.
To their defense, that entire draft year kind of is a weaker class. Like there hasn't
like
been
us with Yakupov in 2012.
Yeah, very similar for sure. It's just like, there was something in the water that year, but like what were like Luke Hughes, I think, was next, and then that was Brant Clark's year, I think, right? And neither one of those guys have taken massive steps forward. I don't know. I can't think of a standout forward from that year other than
Yeah, that was the Matty Beniers year from Seattle too.
Matty Beniers, I suppose, or Cole Sillinger's put up a decent career, but like none of those guys are career makers or team breakers.
What do you think is the one missing piece still left for your Sabres to take that next step? Or is this something as simple as just internal growth?
A new owner. Yeah, I said it.
That legit. Anyway,
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Well, you're not, but no, I hate to say it, but I still feel like they're missing like a top 6 forward, or just even just that type of super. Like they got Tage, but I feel like it's after Tage and Tuck, they still need more fire power up front. You know what I mean? And they brought Josh Norris over from Ottawa, but Josh Norris got injured in his first game this season, and it's just tough to have your number one center kind of being frequently injured like that. So if Josh Norris was able to be the number one center that they hope for, things would be maybe a little different. But I still feel like they got to pull the trigger and bring in another top 6 forward if they're able to. But those don't fall off trees at the same time either. So in a team like Buffalo's situation, 99% of the time, and no movement clause or no trade clause, you're not going to get a player, right? So sometimes the Sabres, you just got to draft and develop and just let the players kind of grow. And I feel like in their position,
does that work out for them?
Hopefully that does happen. We've seen some of the young stars, and hopefully they can just continue to grow. But I don't think it's one quick fix. Like, I think it's an accumulation of things. And I hate to say it, but I've lost a lot of faith in Kevin Adams. So I think they might need to turn the next page onto another GM there too.
Well, they're a pretty fun team to watch, being so young and what have you, except for when they play against Edmonton. They're not that much fun to watch. And we're running up to about an hour already in the episode. We got Dash on there right now. Are you ready to go crazy on us here, Dash? You're welcome to stick around if you want, Jeff. You got something else to do, or
is that a hint?
Well, no, I do got to take off soon, but
no, Jeff. No, Jeff. You got to stay. We need you. I'm coming to you first on my question here. So we need at least
one more question really quick. Yeah, we'll do that. One more question really quick before we do Call Me Crazy. We got a comment on YouTube here. I know, Jeff, you're an Edmonton man. You don't live in Buffalo. Dash, I know you've been to Buffalo before, but Donair is a Canadian thing. Do they got Donairs in Buffalo from Cheese Donair 90?
I don't know. We went out for wings.
That's probably the thing to do in Buffalo, I think. But I had to throw it in there anyway. All right, let's run Call Me Crazy. Unless Jeff's got something to add to that.
If I could have one more thing to get off my chest about the Rob Ray thing.
Oh, no, not yet. No,
not yet.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, we're calling you crazy a lot tonight.
It is a pleasure to have a very good friend of mine, Jeff Aid. He can be a bit of a wild card sometimes, but we love him anyways. And I'm going to come to you first, my friend. You can take off and hang up after if you want. But this is my segment, and I need you here for this, and you're going to understand why. Okay?
Okay.
Kev got a little fired up. He thought Rob Ray was pretty unprofessional. He's probably not wrong. But I do think there's a difference between professional and funny. And I thought that's pretty funny, actually. Rob Ray probably could have said, hey, that net's been empty all season. Or, hey, that net's been empty for 3 years. And that would have probably been more applicable. And that's what's sad about this. So, Jeff Aid, call me crazy, but I think what Rob Ray said is funny.
You're not crazy.
Thank you.
Now, if I could explain a little, I feel like you got to see who it's coming from. Okay, all 6 of us were hockey fans. Rob Ray, during his hockey career, he was an agitator. He was a fighter. Look who it's coming from. You know what I mean? It's Rob Ray. I watch a lot of Sabre games. I see his broadcast a lot. Rob Ray tries to be funny sometimes. Not saying he is, but he tries. You know what I mean? In my point of view, I know Kevin got fired up with the Rob Ray comments, and I just want to say I'm not trying to tell people how to feel, first off,
Yeah.
okay? But I feel like it's the Buffalo Sabres of all teams, and you guys should just be like, who cares? You know, they're a little mosquito, just flick them off and be like, we have bigger fish to fry. You know what I mean? You guys are the Edmonton effing Oilers. You guys are
How'd
way at
that
the
work
top, and the
out?
Sabres are way down here. You know, so
How'd
I
that
feel like
work out?
but at the end of the day, the Sabres are a team that I feel like are literally like the worst franchise in hockey and have been the past like 14 years. And I just feel you guys should just laugh it off and be like, who cares? Because look where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Like, and Dash, you said it correctly, perfectly. If Rob Ray would have said something differently about like the net's been empty all year, because Stuart Skinner wasn't really having an awful game. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even that
exactly. And I think
It
that's
wasn't
Kevin's
even that
point.
bad of a game.
That was what I was upset about. Was just I guess I have a certain expectation of the professionalism from the broadcast staff and comments that should and shouldn't be made on a a national broadcast or even a regional broadcast, right?
Well, I have an
Like you
opinion-
would like
Sorry.
when would you ever hear do you ever hear like Bob Stauffer or Cam Moon or Jack or Louie talking shit about another team really at all?
take Bob off that list and
Well, but yeah, he'll call out mistakes, but will he say stuff like they just don't have goaltending? Like
look. Kev, I'll come back to you because I think I have a perfect segue for you, to be
yeah,
honest.
okay.
Okay. Jeff, I want you to finish your thoughts because I think you're kind of going in the direction I want to take this. So,
Well, the only thing I'll say is that like, it happens often, like with the Sabres, like people make jokes and jabs all the time at other broadcasts, like, oh, it's the Sabres and things like that. So I feel like jokes happen. And I shouldn't say like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but at the end of the day, Rob Ray just tried to be funny and it wasn't there. And he probably could have worded it better. And at the end of the day, I just feel like the Oilers just could have like, yeah, you know what? He's not wrong. Maybe he's wrong about this particular game, but about the situation as a whole, he's not really wrong. And it's the Sabres. I'm sorry, the Sabres suck. They're pretty much irrelevant, and that's coming from a diehard Sabres fan. The Sabres are irrelevant, so I don't think those comments should have really blown up the way they did because it's just like it's coming from the shittiest team in the league, really.
to me, there's been this like I'll tell you, even when we were in the decade of darkness, I still made fun of the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah,
So if we're gonna throw rocks from our glass house, I mean, I'm hucking, and maybe Rob Ray was doing that. Okay, like maybe he was throwing rocks from his glass house, and maybe he knows it. And honestly, as a Buffalo Sabres commentator, ex-player, he knows that. Of course, he knows that, and I think he comes with a bit of humility, right? Like, yeah, he was the tough guy, and yeah, he punched guys from the bench and whatever, right? But ultimately, I think he tries to make fun of himself a lot of the time too, in my history of what I've heard from him. So, look at you guys. This wasn't Eric Francis.
Sure.
Okay, this wasn't. You know what? I won't say any other names. Pick your favorite Oilers and your least favorite Oilers media guy, Spectre, and what he might say in the same breath, and be as mad as you want. Rob Ray played the game. So I've been a color commentator. I've done it for hockey. I've done it for wrestling. When you've been in the ring, when you've been on the ice, I feel like you've earned a bit of cachet to be able to say something like that. So unprofessional, perhaps. Kevin McCurdy, call me crazy, but I think it was funny.
Fine. It was funny to an extent. It's not worth spending any more time on it than I've already spent on it. Like, it's a shitty comment, and the reason I found it shitty at the time was that he was poking fun at a goalie that actually showed up for like the game that he said he didn't show up for. And then of course, Stuart Skinner goes and throws a stinker tonight just to like absolutely kick whatever foundation I had out from under me. It's such a frustrating thing, right? Like the inconsistency. But I don't know, just the maybe I'm just old fashioned like that, but there was a standard for broadcast crews for a long time. And it seems like we've gotten away from that for, meme purposes or whatever. And I don't love it, but it's already, again, that's way more time than we should have spent on it too at the same time.
If you're going to put somebody between the benches, they got to have a thick skull. I don't really care about Bob or Brian's opinion, to be honest. So let's go to Patrick here.
I have something to say.
Let's see how it is.
Yeah, I'll eventually let you talk. I just don't really care. Patrick, call me crazy.
It was funny, but I also agree with Kevin. It was unprofessional, but at the same time, like you see it with like the broadcast on TNT with Paul Bissonnette and everything like that. They're trying to encourage this kind of shock value, I guess. And I don't know if that was what Rob Ray was trying to do, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to throw a couple things in there. It got everybody talking, right? And it got two fan bases up in arms against each other. I know, Jeff, you're getting attacked a lot there on X, and you're doing a great job of defending yourself. But yeah, and I mean, people got too carried away with it. But at the end of the day, broadcasters should be showing, I agree with Kevin, a level of professionalism that they really shouldn't be doing that. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have it happen every so often.
The Buffalo Sabres has been the kid in the schoolyard that's been picked on for 15 years. They've been pushed into the corner. They've had their lunch stolen. They've had their shoes tied, and finally they punched back. And everybody's all upset about it. It's crazy. But I'm not crazy. Bob, you want to call me crazy?
Well, first off, if this Buffalo Sabre kid's been in school for 15 years, he's got bigger issues to deal with than just a little bit of bullying. But no, you know what? I don't think you're crazy. And I'm a huge Skinner supporter. Obviously, like I alluded to before, he's running out of time pretty much. And I'm obviously a huge goalie supporter. And so this was a burn against goaltending and against Skinner. But like Jeff said, it came from Rob Ray. I've actually always respected Rob Ray, the way he plays. He plays an honest game, and I think he was being honest and funny about his comment there, even though it didn't really pertain to that game because Skinner was all right that game. But it alluded to the bigger problem. It came from a point of jest. It was a solid burn. It was a funny burn, and like Jeff was saying, they're the Buffalo Sabres. Like, we don't have a relationship with this team. If it was coming from a Calgary guy, coming from a Vegas guy, I'd be much more up in arms about it. But the Sabres, East Coast, Florida, that'd be different. But other than this, nah, it's nothing to it.
Yeah, I mean, if this is Eric Francis, I'm driving to Calgary and throwing eggs at his house.
I'm jumping in with you.
All right. Well, Kev, I can just see you jittering in your chair there. You probably got something else to say before Lotzi calls me crazy.
This team, when guys make comments like that, when broadcast makes comments like that, or mainstream media members make comments like that, it always ends up on some of the viral social media feeds, and then it just turns into a shit kicking fest for everybody on social media. And maybe that stuff just bugs me more than it should, but that's why I'm talking about the professionalism of it, right? Because then you get your BR Open Ice and your Bar Down and whatever picking it up, and then it just goes ape shit, and then it's just the entire internet shit kicking your goalie. And I that's why I think it's unprofessional. I don't love it. It's a soundbite, and in that particular case was an unnecessary one.
They were shit kicking our goalie anyways. The internet.
Well, yeah, but when you get somebody that you let somebody repost it 86 million times, then
I get where you're coming from, though. I get it.
We'd probably never hear something like that from Louis DeBrusque.
Look, I mean, honestly, we want our players to have personality. I don't care if the announcers have a bit of personality.
Does Louis talk crap? Am I just missing it? Does he talk crap about other people's thing, or is it just like can openers and stuff? Like
He talks crap about the refs.
If anything, he over compliments the other team. Sometimes, like, I forget, like, this is an Oilers broadcast, right? Like, are you done
Yeah.
telling them how beautiful they look and how excellent they are? Like,
I feel like
Yeah.
Craig Simpson has a bit of that too when he does our games. It's just like, you were an Oiler. But mind you, he's got his nose up the league's ass, but that's another story.
Yeah, that Craig Simpson is pretty painful to watch considering he's an ex-Oiler, to be honest with you. But maybe we'll let Jeff get on his way.
Yeah,
here,
he's
and
probably
we'll
got to go
conclude-
parent like 15 minutes ago, but Jeffrey Jr. just kicked him right in the junk. All right, Ryan, call me crazy.
Yeah, crazy, unprofessional, poorly worded joke. I think we've been through it enough. I mean, sure, everybody enjoys a little bit of levity. It's all good. Like, I'm not riled up about it, but there's other ways to be funny, right? You don't need to take another team's player down just because you weren't trying to be funny in that moment. So, yes, calling you crazy, unprofessional, poorly worded.
That's a wrap. Over to you, Bob.
Jeff, thanks a lot for joining us, buddy. Appreciate that. Get your insight from Buffalo Sabre View, especially for that Monday shellacking there the other day. So if you got to take off, I'll respect you. So thanks for popping in.
It's a rivalry now. It's going on the bulletin board. There's money going on the board. Rob Ray.
No, thanks for having me, Bob, and I'm good to stick around and hang out.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice.
We're coming to the tail end here, but I do want to quickly go around the horn a little bit in regards to we're at the quarter point of the season, and I figure quickly we'll go around here to get everybody's opinion after 22 mark. Who would be your choice for the Oiler MVP after 22 games? Patrick?
probably have to go with Jack Roslovic so far. He's come in.
straight for the jugular.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, he's looking like one of the best players so far, the most consistent player since coming in, considering he didn't have a training camp or any preseason games or anything like that. Found a good fit with Leon Draisaitl, so naturally they got separated. And then, but so far so good. I'd say he's my MVP.
Kevin?
Oh man, I'm still recovering from the shade distribution system there. I think I'd have to say Roslovic too. I like, you always expect a certain level of performance from McDavid and Draisaitl. Maybe that's unfair. They are doing well for the most part in the points, but I think Roslovic is the biggest surprise in terms of being there every game and generating something. He's got some real nifty moves, man. He had a one-handed stick handle earlier in the game tonight that he just absolutely deked the shit out of somebody and took off with the puck. I love what he brings to the game. He's smart. It's a new look, and it's something that the Oilers desperately need right now. There are a shockingly few number of people that would be up for the MVP of the Oilers team at the moment.
Well, that's two for Roslovic, and saw some stranger was chimed in and got the hat trick for 3 points for Roslovic already. Lotzi, you staying on board the same topic here or changing names? What's going on?
I think you can make an argument a few different ways here. Like Roslovic, if you're going to take the guy who's played the best in relation to his abilities, then yeah, absolutely. But Connor McDavid's still tied for sure. He's like top 3 in league scoring right now. So I'm a McDavid guy. Look at the wall behind me. So I'll go Connor. He's slow start to the year, but he's picked it up in the last 10 games here. So I'll go Connor.
So that's a late name call for Connor McDavid. Unarguably probably the greatest player in the game here over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Dash, what do you think? Who's your MVP?
Okay, so guys, I don't know if do you sit in the upper bowl or the lower bowl. Have you ever seen Hunter when he's like sliding down the rails? Like he can surf from the top of the upper bowl all the way down to the lower bowl. That's amazing. So I'm giving one to Hunter. And my other star for the Oilers, I think here is going to probably have to be Matt Berlin, our E-bug. He's been taking a lot of rubber in practice, and I think he had a couple of bruises in his ribs.
Okay, But
From
actual
Aaron- from
serious
Aaron
answer for a
shots.
second here, bud. Like, come
I don't
on.
have one.
Not one player that's at least remotely impressed you.
We
this
have to.
season.
Oh, okay. Like we're what 20 some games in, and we have 4 regulation wins. What am I impressed with? Calgary has more regulation wins than us.
Buffalo.
What? Oh, hey, Connor McDavid's leading the league. He should be leading the league by 20 points. Draisaitl. Next.
I thought you were going to pick Skinner.
Matt Berlin.
Well,
The Berlin Wall. Bring him back.
Looks like Mike on X agrees with you there, Dash.
Yeah.
Cross, that's my boy. Thanks.
Well, Jeff, I don't know how many Oilers games you've watched compared to the Sabre games, but as a bit of an outsider looking in, what the Oilers are doing and who's playing what and who's playing how, who would be your pick as the Oilers MVP so far after the 22 game mark?
Other than Hunter. I said that one already.
Strap some pads and Hunter, and he's our e-bug. Let it go.
Rob Ray. No.
No, I will admit I haven't caught too many games, but I kind of agree with Lotsberg here, and I would still say Connor McDavid. This is still his team, and I feel like if it wasn't for Connor, things would be in a lot of big trouble right now. And so I still have to go for Connor because he's so extraordinary that sometimes you get used to it in a way, but he's still the best. So I still got to go with Connor McDavid.
You know, to me, it's amazing that the guy who's probably watched the least Oilers games out of all of us had the best answer in the whole thing, word for word. So
I could sit and argue for a while why Draisaitl's had a better season than Connor McDavid this year.
I know, and feel free to look into a mirror and argue that all you want. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, who would you say has been the most awful player in as it Oilers after the 22 games? And I know that's a pretty long list to choose from. Just look at the roster. But
Could be a while.
try to find one guy. And Kevin, you seem most enthusiastic about this, so why don't you start it off?
How do you quantify most bad on this team?
The
Can we
worst
quantify
player.
most bad for each position? Like,
Does it have
both
to be a
goaltend-
player?
yeah, that's a great point because right now I think you could make a case that there's a most bad for all 5 major positions, and those 5 being goalies, defense, offense, GM, and coach. And you could probably make a fair case for all of them. Like, off the top of my head, I would have to say that Trent Frederick has been pretty underwhelming, but I don't think he's necessarily the most bad. Brett Kulak, who is one of my personal fan favorites for many years now, has been horrendous this year.
Jeff Aid's cousin.
Yeah, I know. I work with a guy that is actually Brett's cousin. So, I mean, I like Brett Kulak as a player a lot. I love what he's brought for us year over year, but you cannot sugarcoat how bad the start to his season has been. So there's your forward and there's your defenseman. Both goalies can't deliver 2 consecutive games in a row where they don't suck to some extent. Don't let in a squeaker that they can't afford to give up. There's clearly some kind of difference going on in the coaching, whether it's at the assistants level, whether it's at Knobloch's level, whatever it is. They are playing relatively conservative hockey, and I know Lotzie and I will disagree on this to an extent, but I think that there is a case to be made that there are some fairly serious concerns at the coaching level of this organization at the moment, and that I would not be surprised to see if there was a change made in the very near term to address that, and not necessarily at Chris Knobloch's level, just a change. And we'll see if I'm right. And Stan still needs to do more to deliver this team some options. He's done a few things right. I don't think that he is entirely at fault for where the team is at right now, but I do think that there is more that tools in his toolbox available to shake the status quo that he needs to start using. So there we go. We traveled through the whole roster.
Yeah, it sounds like, Kevin, you could make that's the next episode. I think we'll just tackle this subject, and you can host that one, Kevin. You already got the ball rolling there. Lotzie, who is your choice for the most awful Oilers so far after the first 22 games?
Lots of good choices out there that we've talked about already, but I'm gonna go with the guy that signed an 8-year deal this summer, $3.85 million. We traded a second round pick for him. It didn't get into a game for more than 7 minutes until the playoffs. Trent Frederick. 1 point in 22 games now. Simply not good enough. Not only is he not scoring, he's just not doing much of anything out there. He's not hitting the way he was expected to. He's got one fight that really came in the game after he got called out by the coach and the media for it. And so I felt that was like, oh, I got to do something here. But after that, I can go back to hiding and put the cloak of invisibility back on. So ankle injury be damned. I realize he's probably not at 1,000% with that yet, but he's got to pick it up.
Yeah, it's
Well-
such a high ankle injury. It's between his ears.
You're stealing jokes now. We've
Oh, I
evolved.
stealing jokes. I'm
We've
stealing
devolved
jokes.
to jacking jokes from other people. That's
Absolutely.
great.
I just appreciate you
Gager on
calling
the
me
oils.
out on it. Yeah, Gager did definitely said.
For,
Hey,
two guys in
I-
the goalie yesterday.
I also stole Gager's joke about 2 trailer park girls around the outside. So
You guys got some good material.
he's epic. There's no doubt about it.
I do think so. I
Go
think
ahead,
lots of you. I think you say Trent Frederick's fight should be kind of be in quotations because it takes 2 people to fight, and I think he did more of the receiving than kind of giving in that one.
Fair.
But
Fair.
good
I
on
mean,
him.
Yeah, like all the respect in the world for taking on Olivier. Like I would go nowhere near the guy, right? Like I'd get my face caved in. But it felt disingenuous to me.
I get it. I know when I see Olivia on the screen, I run to the back corner of my living room to watch it from there. So I get it. Dash, who is your worst spoiler of the year so far after 22 games?
I mean, all of the above, I think, is really the answer. But, if we're going to pick one, I don't know how the answer isn't Trent Frederick. How do you sign a guy to an 8-year deal? An 8-year deal. How many guys get 8-year deals? What kind of players get 8-year deals? We gave Trent Frederick an 8-year deal, and he is on pace for less than 40 points over 8 years. Why don't we just
We're
absorb
adjusting
that for a minute?
We're adjusting the stats to per seasons instead of per 60.
Per contract, Kevin.
yeah.
Per contract.
Oh,
38
man, that's
points
brutal.
in 8 years that guy's gonna get us. Not to mention he's go ahead.
I think that there's a chance that he might not be this bad for the entire duration of the contract. I think
I certainly hope not.
I certainly hope
He
not.
was
But
on the
this-
downswing when he left Boston, you guys. What
this-
isn't
he was
realistic about a
playing-
bang and crash player that hits his peak early?
It was a bad choice before the ankle injury. He was already regressing. Or
Yes.
had already regressed.
Yes. It's a
You
bad. No. I changed my answer. It's not Frederick, who's -8, and not Mangiapane, who's -16. It's our pro scouting staff. End of answer. Drop the mic. Look what we have done trying to get wingers. Look what we have done trying to get depth scoring.
the luckiest they got with wingers was signing Roslovic because he
Bang.
tripped over the door frame on the way
Who
in.
nobody
like-
wanted. That's right.
And dude, I love Rosso. I really hope that they resign. I think he's a good fit for this team. So this is no slander against what he's done so far. I think he's come in on a show me contract and well done just that. He's already earned his next contract, and we're 22 games into the season.
Jeff Skinner, Arvidsson, Mangiapane, Frederick. Do you want me to keep going?
How about that swing and the miss on Xavier Burgot and Wallstead? Like,
What about
if we're gonna take
Don't
on,
get me
we're
started
gonna,
on that one.
Oh my goodness. We're regressing here. We're going to the what if category. We're going to the what if categories now. And before we get to the what ifs, I want to hear what the guy who had the smartest answer for round 1 had for the most awful order in his
I'm
mind.
done. You're cutting me off
I'm cutting you off, man. I'm cutting
Pro
you off.
Scout. That's it. I'm done.
You're
All
going
right.
through the whole roster and the board of directors and everything down to the ticket takers. So no.
And Bob,
Jeff
when he
Bailey,
volunteered
you-
for 50-50s one night, he was awful too.
Jeff Aid, who would be your choice of most awful Oiler from the little bit that you've watched from them?
Oh, Bob, you put me in the. I feel pressure now for.
I mean, you could just flip a coin, Jeff. Really, anybody's name that comes up is
I know,
a great answer here.
I don't want to pick on the goalies, and I was gonna pick Trent Frederick, but everybody's saying Frederick. But I don't know who else to pick besides Frederick. Maybe can I say the GM Stan Bowman?
Yeah.
You can say who you want.
Because I'll say Bowman only because like I know GM it's a difficult job. I'm not saying I could do it better than him, but I don't understand the 8 years. They could have done 3 or 4 or 2. Like I don't understand why they had to go 8. And I'm not going to pick on Skinner or Picard because I don't think they should be in those positions. I feel like management should have addressed that last year, previous in the past. So if
Honorable
I had to pick,
take, man. That's an honorable take. I like it.
so I will say Stan Bowman.
Preach.
The board a little bit, but not too many arguments. Let's see where Patrick goes with this Oil Fanatic. Who do you got as your worst Oiler after 22 games?
Well, like you guys have all said, Trent Frederick is the awful. The obvious and awful. They both go together. Obvious, awful one, but I have some stranger in the chat there, and on Mangiapane has been certainly disappointing. And of course, one of the
minus 16.
Yeah. One of the favorite scapegoats is Darnell Nurse. I think he's really had another rough year. And I think they were mentioning yesterday on Oilers Now that I think Elliot Friedman was the one who was saying that maybe the noise is finally getting to Nurse. But yeah, I think Nurse, Skinner, a few different guys need a new location here at some point this season or next summer. It's just not working out in Edmonton.
Last time I remember the noise getting a Nurse was against Dallas in the playoffs 2 years ago, and he came out and had the game of his life.
Well, and he's actually had
and it's Dallas. It's always Dallas. But what about Florida or Vancouver or
the other 30 teams?
Yeah, we can't play Dallas 82 times, so that's gonna be a tough one to catch around. But at this point, you can almost spin the roster wheel and choose a guy who's underperforming, and you'll probably hit a guy pretty good. So
yeah,
just as a whole team, as a unit, I mean, we're 500, and we should be at least at the very minimum we should be in the top 10 at this point of the season, and we're not there yet. I'm still optimistic.
We're lucky to be at 500. Like
well,
straight
and
up
like
lucky.
it's mentioned a few times, a lot of it has to do with the parity in the league right now. Lots of teams are trading wins. That's the only reason why we're even in the hunt at this point. But we have the goods to turn this around, and I'm still optimistic that we will. People will find their legs, but we are deeper into the season now than we should be, while we're still trying to get our footing. Well, we're coming up on 90 minutes, boys, and I think people are getting tired of our voices by now, but I want to go around the horn a little bit here. I mean, we have a couple more games on the road trip before we're back home. Get some last words in here. We'll finish off with our guest, Jeff Aid, to be the last word today. Other than that, let's just touch on a little bit. Maybe you guys want to mention how you think the rest of the road trip's going to go and just what you got going on for this week and what your feeling is on the Oilers as is at the moment. You know what, Patrick? Why don't you start us off some last words?
Well, I feel really bad for Calvin Pickard because I'm guessing he's going to be the starter tomorrow, and he's getting. I don't think things are going to get any better tomorrow, so yeah, that might be Calvin Pickard's last game as an Edmonton Oiler. I hope it's it's
Me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's inevitable, and you just hate it with how he came in and saved our butts in the playoffs the last couple of years and stuff. For him to, I wanted him to, if he was done in Edmonton, to go out as Stanley Cup champion, and then we could close it out that way. So the way it looks like it's headed is really sad. So that's kind of my thought. If they do start him tomorrow back to back, unless we get some kind of surprise call up or something with Connor Ingram, but I don't see that happening that quickly. So it's probably Pickard tomorrow, and probably unless Pickard comes in and has a completely amazing start, another bad story for this team continuing. So I don't see anything right now to indicate that the Oilers are on their way out of this. I mean, they have little sparks here and there, but they're still a long way to go here. So I think it's going to be a tough rest of the road trip for this team, and some changes are probably going to have to be made before the end of it. But someone's going to lose their job or some kind of minor move or something. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not looking too good right now. So, yeah, you guys can check my stuff on my own channel here, the Oilers Fanatic. I'll be doing game rundowns, news over the next couple of days, and I imagine it'll be pretty eventful. So that's my thoughts for this one tonight, guys.
Always looking forward to your input, Patrick, on your videos. You did a good job. And Dash,
Thanks,
Mr. Positivity himself, Dash. This next little week here, how do you think things are going to go down, and what do you got going on?
I got not much going on. I'm just trying to be real. I know it's negative, but there's just not a lot of positive to talk about. Quarter point of the season, and there's 4 regulation wins. Extrapolate it out, we got 16. Who would have said we'd have 16 regulation wins at the end of the season? Do I think that's where we're going to be? No, I don't think that's where we're going to be. But I did write an article about how tough November was going to be. And I did say that it could make or break the season. So let's see how they get out of this month. Let's see how they take the Olympic break. Let's see how the team comes out of the Olympic break, how they handle a break, are they healthy coming out of the Olympics? Does a guy from Germany come back hungry because he lost? Does a guy from Canada or the US come back, satisfied? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what else to do. It's like you can only control what you can control as a fan, and it seems like there's just a lot of things going wrong with the team ultimately. So, Kevin kind of said it best there. If we could just have better goaltending, forwards, defense, coaching, and managing, we might be back in this thing. So I don't know. Don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things.
Well, who knew that the answer was so simple, Dash? That's all we need for upgrading. So the picture isn't as bleak as I thought. Now you put it that way. Kevin, your thoughts here as we end the road trip here, and what do you got going on this week?
So I just want to clarify what Dash is saying is that they need a defenseman, a top 6 winger, and a goalie, right?
Maybe
That's
some
it.
bottom 6 wingers, some scoring depth.
It just feels like the need list hasn't changed that much in the last, 5 or so years, right?
Well, here, let me say one more thing. Maybe because, Bob the goalie, he goes to the gym, right? Okay, he's like 6'5" and 120 pounds. This guy, he's just gangly everywhere. He's all arms and legs, but he goes for years, and all he does is he just works out this arm and this arm, just like McDavid and Draisaitl. That's all he does. He just does curls all day long. Curls for the girls. He never stops doing arm exercises. Just biceps, 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 biceps. He ignores every other part of his body. What happens after 12 years? You got giant arms and a pathetic, worthless, flabby remainder.
And you get to host the Heavy Hockey Podcast.
Kevin, go on.
I don't even know, man. I just want to see at this point, what else do we say? We've kind of beat everything to death. This is. I really don't want to run super negative streams all the time. Personally speaking, that's not what my dad stood for. That's not really what I want to do all the time. But I am finding it really hard to see the bright side at the moment. Yeah. There are gaping issues with this team. What else can we do but keep going? They're not really going to get a chance to adjust until after the road trip. So we kind of just have to let this play out. I think a bunch of us might be watching tomorrow's game like this, but we'll see. This team needs something from somebody. They need a spark somewhere. Somebody needs to stand on their friggin' head for a game, whether it's a goalie or a defenseman. Just somebody needs to drag them into the fight, and we need to find who that's going to be.
That's fair. End of the road trip coming up here. What's your optimism level at here, Lotzi, and what do you have going on here coming up here next week or so?
I mean, you guys know me. I'm always putting out articles. I'm sure I'll have something coming out over the course of the next 7 days on heavyhockey.com and at Lots Ryan on X. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And like Kevin, I'm also getting a little sick of talking about what's wrong with this team, especially at 5-5. I feel like I've been beating a dead horse for 2 months now. But I'm going to try to add a little bit of positivity to this. I like where Eric Friesen's mind is at. His mind is always positive, sometimes even when it's real hard to see it like it is now. But the thing we got to remember about this team, yeah, I've talked about the quality of the forward roster being low, much lower than it has in recent years. And it is kind of a transitional year because the cap went up $7.5 million and two very important players got raises that added up to 12.4 million. So some sacrifices had to be made. We had to get younger faster. So the story goes. But to start the season, we have not seen this forward group healthy yet. There's always been 2 or 3 guys out. So by the time you add a Zach Hyman, which we just did recently, by the time you get Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Kasperi Kapanen back, that's a whole line's worth of guys who can play in your top 9, arguably your top 6, that are knocking 3 guys out of the lineup. At the beginning of the year, we were playing with 7 new forwards. 7. That's more than half the group. That's brand new. And some of those guys were really young. 4 of them had a combined 20 NHL games of experience. So as we're getting healthier here, we're getting a lot more high quality. We're getting more quality into our lineup. And now this team, once you get Hyman rolling on the top line, you get Ryan Nugent-Hopkins pushing somebody down to the third line. Maybe it's him playing third line center, which I actually think would be a great idea right now. Try to get some depth going, try to get some offense from a bottom 6 that's only scored 1 goal this month, right? So all those things start to change when we get a little healthier and when we start to push some of the less experienced guys out of the lineup. And as Dash alluded to, this road trip is almost over. This month is almost over. There's 2 more games left of this road trip. The league is so tight. I don't think we're going to be out of it, even if we lose the next 2 games. It's things get easier from here.
Well, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that 1 goal from the bottom 6 did not come from Trent Frederic. But
you are correct.
I'm going to go on a limb and say there's not a lot of goals coming from the bottom 6 when you're last in the NHL in 5-on-5 scoring.
Like legit, that 1 goal came tonight from David Tomashek.
Nice goal. Really
it
was
a nice goal. Absolutely.
I often wonder about him having been healthy scratch, whatever, if he regretted coming over here because he was the top guy over in Europe, getting primo ice time, what have you, and here he watches half the time and plays in the 4th line. Just wondering where his frustration level would have been at this whole time. So it was nice to see him score a beauty too, not one that went off his body and in. But before we get to Jeff here, I just want to thank all you guys for being on here again. Always enjoy engaging hockey talk with the lot of you. The chat was great. A couple nice ones posted there on the main board. So always appreciate everybody listening in, tuning in, and interacting with us and participating on every level they can. Jeff, we'll get your last thoughts here. What do you think going in for the Oilers and for your Sabres if you want? Throw that in there as a bit of a caveat. And if you don't mind at the very end saying good night to everyone, and then we'll sign off and call that a night.
Once again, Bob, thanks for having me on tonight. It's been great joining you guys. I'll keep it more Oilers-centric. I feel like I've talked a lot of Sabres tonight. I'll keep it positive. You know, it's weird. Like, I know you guys are going through some dark times, but I have confidence in the Oilers. You know, besides Florida, the Oilers have played more games than any other team the past couple of years, and it might be catching up a bit. But this team is on a mission to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Connor McDavid is on a mission, and I believe he's the best player in the world. And sometimes he just goes supernova and he just says, we're doing this. You know what I mean? So I feel like by February or March or April, you guys won't even remember this dark times. You know what I mean? So the Oilers will make a comeback. They will have to make trades of some kind, whether it's a goalie trade or some kind of, they will make addition to the roster, right? So I feel like the Oilers will be, I hate to say it, but they'll be fine, guys. Like, I'm not going to say like they're going to be Stanley Cup champions, but like they're going to turn things around. You know, they can only go up from here, hopefully. And I feel like they're going to turn things around. It's going to take time. It's still in November. They're on a shitty road trip, and it's going to take some time. But I feel like in a few months from now, January, February, they'll start climbing out, and they'll come back to the Oilers team that you guys are familiar with. So as for the Sabres, I will say I love them. I will always love them, but they suck. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. December 9th, the Sabres are in town. We'll have a little fun matchup for the rematch. Hopefully Rob Ray doesn't say anything stupid again. And don't forget to go to heavyhockey.com. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and you guys have a good night. Thank you.